We're talking about a particularly dangerous situation.
Winds have definitely intensified.
It's a desire to help, a desire to make a difference that draws firefighters to this profession.
Saying, evacuate, get out, get out. They had no idea. Running up to home and pounding on the door.
There are 0 houses left on my street.
For me, leaving was the only option. And I think for James, maybe staying was the only option.
We were kicking in doors. Our radio calls were coming out. Hey, that my mom is trapped inside of a house.
And I'll take them for you. I'd say friends. I'd say good friends. And also, we've been through the trenches, so.
When I was a little boy and something bad happened in the news, my mother would tell me to look for the helpers. You'll always find people helping, she'd say. And I've found that that's true.
Holy. Everything is burned.
Me and Matt joke because we tell James, like, you went to the biggest fire that you will probably ever go to in your career before you got hired on. Like, most people throughout their career across the whole world will never experience what we went through with just 3 individuals with some fire hose.
Good stuff, bro. Good work.
When did you first decide you wanted to be in the fire service?
As long as I can remember. Going to visit my dad at the fire station was always the coolest thing ever. Talking to my friends like, oh yeah, my dad's a firefighter. Always growing up, I always had that itch to be like my dad, be like my uncle, you know, like.
We're out here working.
I was somewhat familiar with the equipment just by visiting stations and being able to see the equipment in person, but I've never actually charged a hose line or opened a fire hydrant or done any of that until that day.
I was at another fire. Being away from your family and not being able to help, it's pretty gut-wrenching. You realize, okay, part of my job is to help anybody who calls 911, but I'm always going to be, I'm most responsible for my own family. My first thought was to call my brother.
Or Dan called me at 4 in the morning. I'm thinking, what are we going to do when I get there? I don't have any equipment.
In my mind, I knew that I never wanted to leave. It was too hard for me to leave when the houses were still here.
And he was already involved. Before I got here, he had garden hoses and ladders up on these 2 homes right here. He was ready to go to work. His mom called me and said, we're leaving, but you need to take care of him when you get there.
This is your street, Mom. Steph, we're gonna save it, though.
When James told me that he wanted to stay, it was such a conflict, honestly. Like, there was a part of me that knows my son, that knows he's got it, he will be fine. I trust him, he will do it, like, and he will get himself safe if he has to. And there was another part of me that said, get in the stinking car and come with me and your brother and our dog and our cat because you're my child.
Okay. All right, we're good. Let's do this.
Southern California was pretty much stretched thin, so it was going to be a while before additional resources got ordered up and actually got here. So I knew when I pulled up that it was going to be us 3, and it was going to be us 3 for a long time to fight this fire.
Yeah. So when you pull up and you see him there, do you want to throttle your brother for suiting him up in PPE, or could you not be more proud to see James in action?
I was, super proud. I had already got throttled enough on the drive over here from my wife telling me not to let anything happen to our son.
What's a great mom? A great mom pours her heart into her son and then has courage enough to believe in what she and her husband did to let him go. Right?
That's what you want right there, dude.
Man, how necessary was it to have James there with you?
He was the most necessary thing. Without him, these houses would have burned down. It was imperative that he was here.
We had to rely just on ourselves and our willpower to protect this neighborhood.
Me, my uncle, and my dad have protected all of our houses. We've tried to do these ones, but the wind was too strong.
It's getting bad, and the fire's getting closer. So, yeah, I was a little scared.
And what's it like here on the street? Is there smoke? Is there fire?
So this house is fully on fire, maybe even almost fully burned. This one's on fire from like the inside, it looks, and the roof was just collapsed.
And when you say you know the people who live here?
Yeah, all of these neighbors. Yeah, it was a different feeling.
As the day progressed and people started to come back to see if their houses survived, that was, for me, one of the most emotional aspects of this was we were still actively engaged. And we had certain neighbors that came to us and they saw us with a hose line down their driveway and they were giving us hugs. And I would look at them and tell them, we protected your house. You don't have to worry about it. We saved it. It's gonna remain standing.
I just wanted you guys to know that I'm gonna do everything in my power to save your guys' house.
And then I would come out of that driveway and I would see another neighbor across the street and I would have to give them a hug. And I was like, sorry, we couldn't save your house.
You're not only seeing the destruction firsthand, you're seeing the heartache firsthand.
Yeah, it was sad. I mean, it's
rough.
Yeah, it's just, even thinking about it now, it's just telling someone that I'm sorry, we couldn't do more to help your house. It's a terrible feeling.
Witnessing arguably what may be the worst disaster you've ever encountered, was there a moment where you're like, you know what, maybe I don't really want to do this?
I've wanted this for my whole life. I really look forward to being a firefighter, so I'm just excited to be able to follow in my dad's footsteps, my uncle's footsteps, and serve other people as a career.
The vivid memory that I have is being here at West LA the day of the fire and responding to that initial report that there was a fire in the Palisades. Not really knowing what we were gonna face. When we arrived, we saw a lot of people trying to leave the area. We realized that it was a larger fire than what we expected. And right away, we noticed that there was gonna be difficulty evacuating that area because you began to see some of the gridlock start building up.
But we're just getting word here that the LAPD has gone on tactical alert.
In my position, I was directing the units there. The fire department had established a command post. Initially, just down that canyon road at Pacific Coast Highway in a parking lot. And you could see that they were extremely concerned about what was happening.
All around us, we see people with their dogs. They're running. You see people with suitcases that are walking down the road because you can't move. Traffic isn't moving.
And I could hear it in the officers' voices where they were requesting additional help, additional transportation for people who needed more help evacuating the area.
Me and my partner, Matt Kurt, was like, all right, we're going in the house, and we're going to go get these people out. And then the day began.
You all worked, correct?
Yes. Yes.
What do you remember the most about the first day of that fire?
Chaos. It was on all ends, from fire department, police department, the community. It's just everybody was just scrambling to get out.
What went through your mind when they said, we need to save as many people as possible?
Scary, honestly. It was when the fire department says they're not able to control it, then you know it's we're in it. And one of the captains looked at me and he says, we just need to save as many people as we can. Just try to get everybody out.
Is everyone out? Everyone's out?
Good job, guys.
It's been gridlock for more than a mile here in Pacific Palisades. We are on Sunset Boulevard.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
No, nothing like it.
Well, this is pretty chaotic right now. This is a very dynamic situation, and I know LAPD and the surrounding law enforcement are doing the best they can, but this is a pretty, very significant event with strong winds fueling these fires and resources coming in and out.
As we take a look at members of the LAPD that have been here as well, we also want to just applaud their efforts throughout the day trying to get people out of harm's way and evacuated.
27 P31, notify when you're en route.
I went into a few houses as we were kicking in doors. Our radio calls were coming out, hey, that my mom is trapped inside of a house.
Now being threatened, what you hear are sirens of LAPD officers that are going up and down streets telling people that it's time to get out. And as we cross the street, there you can see the LAPD right there just up here on Amalfi, asking people, telling people it is now time to leave.
Oh, your eyes were burning initially, hard to breathe. Initially, we had shirts over our face, but that's what we get paid to do. We run when everybody's running away from the danger. We run in.
They were not equipped to work in these conditions, but they did the best that they could with what they had.
Preparing, is it fair to say, for the worst is yet to come?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, we're in the middle of moving this whole command post. We're not going to stay here.
And this is the reason why they are getting ready to move again. See those massive flames? They are just inching closer and closer.
At some point, the fire gets really close to the command post, and we're looking at the firefighters, seeing if they're concerned at all about how close this is getting. And they don't seem concerned at all. But a few minutes later, they approach us and they say, hey, this is the plan. The fire is going to go through our command post. And the plan is for us to stay in our vehicles, allow the fire to pass through, and we'll continue from there.
They didn't panic. They were completely calm. Like you talked about the command post, we were being overwhelmed by, ash and embers that were still, and they were like, well, it's too much stuff to move, so just go in your cars or go in your command post vehicle and let it blow over.
I'm not gonna lie about it. I was concerned about how this was gonna play out. But, appreciate the help from the fire department who guided us through this. That really sticks with me.
This is what they have blocked off to traffic, and you can see the fire still raging here in the Palisades. It continues to burn.
8 Queens, 150 on the message.
I think it ended up being an 18-hour day for myself. These guys probably around that or maybe even longer because they didn't get relieved until we had relief come in from other parts of the city to swap them out.
I also want to let you know that we are seeing LAPD out here in full force.
So just the dedication, the hard work from the officers that responded is just, remarkable.
They have been patrolling the area in every direction as well.
I had to let the fire department and the other officers do what they were doing, and I thought they would go out to save their own houses or their own families.
How hard was that?
Very, because they had tears, they had the emotion, and to the point where they were willing to do whatever to get up there, and my job was to keep everybody out.
And why was that?
Safety, public safety is number one.
I vaguely recall this gentleman who seemed very worried and runs up to our command post and asked for help, and he looked devastated. And so I took a moment just to address his concern, and his concern was that his 2-year-old was at their residence in the affected area with a babysitter and wasn't able to get a hold of the babysitter and was extremely concerned about the well-being of the baby and the babysitter. Having kids myself, I could only imagine how helpless he felt at the time. So I dedicated a set of officers to figure out what his address was, to see where that affected area was at. At some point after an hour or two, I saw a couple officers coming back down with a babysitter and a baby and reuniting that family. And for a second, it was one of the best things you could ever see. And he was so grateful for that.
You tell me that story and I get choked up even hearing it.
Everything gone.
It kind of went from, an adrenaline rush the first 20 hours to kind of an emotional rush, the following days, just dealing with the aftermath of the citizens and the people that were dealing with such a tragedy.
My mother would tell me to look for the helpers. You'll always find people helping.
It's like an overwhelming weight in gray and cloud over you as you drive through the scar. You can see Altadena. You see the neighborhood change. You see all the for sale signs on the lots, and you know that the vast majority of these people aren't going to be able to come back, and that hurts.
The shadows, it's echoes of what you remember as a child, and now with it being a lot, you're looking for your landmarks, but there is no landmark. Yeah. There is no landmark.
You saved home after home, including your own. The feelings that you must now have to process. Does it come back to haunt you those days, those 4 days?
I still deal with the weight of eating. One of the things that stays with me is, as I was confirming those homes for those families, as I was approaching the blocks, and you have a whole family on the phone waiting for an outcome, for an answer, and you having to tell them, I'm sorry, it's gone. One person breaks down, then the whole room breaks down, and all I can do is awkwardly excuse myself from the phone call, continue on to the next address, and give the news to another family. And that stays with me. I hear that.
Do you also hear the relief and the gratitude from people that know that you single-handedly saved their homes?
I feel it. I'm thankful for having the opportunity in that moment to help those people. You're funny.
No, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit.
My hero.
Sir. Sir, you good?
Real good.
All right.
This guy, he stayed the whole night, and he made sure this block did not burn.
Yeah, because if he hadn't stopped the fire from spreading, because it was jumping home to home, so his efforts down at the beginning of the block were appreciated.
Does the neighborhood credit?
Oh, neighborhood loves this guy.
No.
Yes,
No.
we do. They love him,
And will.
as we should. Yeah, yeah.
Before the fires, Altadena was a city where multiple generations of families grew up together. My family has been on this block for decades. So the vast majority of these people have seen me grow up. It's a good chance that your mother or your cousin went to school with somebody else's family member. Everybody pretty much knows everybody. So there was a little bit of how should I say? Hey, we know who you are. A little bit of trust there.
I've never really felt that level of just being absolutely scared that I might not ever see him again, considering that I was 3 months pregnant, and I was like, wow, like, am I gonna be a single mom? We had put our life savings into this home and to just live in our home for 2 to 3 months, and then having to evacuate, not knowing when we would be back with a child on the way was pretty traumatic.
Got her going, said our goodbyes, ran across the street, and started knocking on neighbors' doors. This was like 3 o'clock in the morning, so a lot of the neighbors' cars were still in the driveway, so I assumed that people were there.
I was not home. I was in Fresno at my mom's. My husband was here alone, and he takes sleeping medication, so he's out.
All I heard was a lot of banging on the door. I was so groggy, but when I opened that door, I was in a firestorm, and he was standing there, and he's like, "You gotta go."
Was there a bit of a pushback?
Oh yeah, there was pushback.
Yes, yes, yes.
There's a lot of pushback.
So he was gonna pull him out. He said no.
There was a point where I told him, I will put you in the car myself.
So what happens when you arrive? You come back to your street.
Upon my arrival, I had 2 houses fully involved in fire, impinging on a 3rd structure, with winds moving in the direction of neighbors' homes as well as mine. It was dreadful. It was a stressful moment. Obviously, I don't want to leave my neighbors' homes. I know that if we lose another house, we're going to lose the block, because there's going to be nothing to stop it from moving from house to house to house. I set up a residential line, and I used that to the best of my ability to defend my neighbor's home, but we were losing the house. I was able to wave down a fire company from Riverside Engine 73, and they immediately asked, "Hey, where's your crew?" And I'm sorry, there's no crew, sir. This is my block. They were like, indeed, pull a line. With their line, with their help, I was able to defend the last house, and we were able to stop it before it progressed and continued to burn in the direction of my house. I helped them fast load their hose, because at that point they're bouncing around trying to save what they can. And I started to set up perimeter defenses for my neighbors' homes. As neighbors were leaving, they were leaving their hoses on their roofs. So the grid, the water grid, was out of pressure.
You turn on a hose and there's nothing coming out of it?
Nothing coming out of the hose. So at that point, I ran down to my home and I grabbed a shovel. And as the last of the neighbors were leaving the area, they were tossing me their extinguishers. So I was fighting fire, throwing dirt, and tried to create defensible spaces around their own homes.
Sounds like putting like a water pick on a bonfire.
Yes.
Did it feel as if you were fighting a losing battle?
Very much so. It got to a point where I didn't have any water, and I can't stop this fire, and it's moving toward one of my neighbors' homes, and I'm throwing dirt, I'm trying to trench, and I'm losing it. I'm losing it. And then that's when the winds thankfully died down, and I was able to create a defensible space around the house.
Remarkable. By digging that trench?
Yes.
You ever scared?
Very. Very. Because as the winds died down, there was hope in that. And I knew that was a window where if there was going to be a save happen, it was going to be in that moment, in that window of low winds, that I can prep enough of these houses to make them defendable before the winds pick back up. I walked the area in the block, and I put out the little spot fires as I could. I came across looters, and I was able to get them moving.
So, spill, how'd you do that?
Polite conversation.
Why do I feel it's not so polite?
It wasn't. Stayed up here for 4 days and just stayed in contact with my neighbors.
You realize you just said that you were here for 4 days.
Yes, sir.
What was it, Darren, that kept you going? This unbelievable firefight.
I had the ability. I had the ability to be here when they couldn't.
Being up here so long, we've seen fires. And I can remember my son, who stayed over that night, he said, well, Dad, aren't you concerned? I said, oh, no. Fires have never come down this far. And even when we got the call from Darren, I wasn't used to him telling me what to do. But he told me, it's time for you to get out, time, get to family, get to safety. I got this. This is what I do. One of the things that Darren helped with as well, he made sure that the church had resources to give out as people came. So we became a distribution and a donation center.
Had you seen those guitars up there? They're functioning guitars. We have a music class now. And the keyboard's here.
And we just came together for the love of the human race. And I think that's what Darren was all about. I just love my block. I love my community. I love the human race. No matter who lives in the house, they're a part of me.
As Sienna grows older, how will you sort of share this story with her?
Definitely, I will let her know how her father saved our home and our neighborhood.
I would like to raise my daughter in Altadena, but I also have to weigh that with what her daily life is going to be like, moving around in a city that's being rebuilt. Are there going to be any children around here for her to play with?
Did it ever cross your mind, I think I'm done being a firefighter. I think I've done all I can as a firefighter. This may be too much.
I haven't gotten there yet. I do have my moments where I tend to step away to the quiet place, FaceTime my wife and my daughter, kind of pour out the cup a little bit and get ready for the next one.
Oh my God. Look at these, bro. Oh my God. Look at these, look, man. Oh my God.
Make that left and everything was on fire.
The whole area is engulfed in smoke. It's engulfed in smoke.
And seeing that that area looked like a war zone.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So it looks like we have a city bus, a Pasadena transit bus, that is going to help evacuate some of these patients.
Any idea, and just give us a rough estimate if you can, how many patients have you seen being removed from that facility?
I'm going to say I've seen at least 40 patients.
Wow.
And they just keep coming.
To see that city bus, it just gives you some hope.
It's just crazy. I can't put in words everything that happened a year ago.
They showed up for their scheduled bus routes, and they ended their shifts that day as heroes. The Pasadena bus drivers who drove into the flames to rescue hundreds of people the night the Eaton fire broke out.
I did it at the finest of my heart. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
On the night of January 7th, 2025.
It happened towards the end of the shift, happened late at night.
Pasadena transit bus operators were wrapping up their routes just as the Eaton fire was breaking out.
I brought my bus back in, but I had seen how rapid the fire was spreading.
A lot of them had the option to go home and, be with their families, but a lot of the operators, they heeded the call.
That call came from first responders to Pasadena Transit. With the Eaton fire growing quickly, could they send buses to help evacuate hundreds of patients and staff from 4 healthcare facilities?
You couldn't have known
what you were going into?
I had no idea what I had put myself into.
We sat down with Nicole Ambers, Garrett Wright, and Juan Casillas, 3 of the Pasadena transit workers who bravely drove buses into the fire.
One of the streets that we turned on, I mean, the bank was on fire to my right. To my left, you had, you know, a small shop burning. Windows are being shattered.
We continue north. I see a couple cars on, like, melted down. The chassis all burnt up.
I pulled up to the convalescent home. You had elderly on stretchers. You had elderly on beds, walkers.
It was heartbreaking. A lot of senior citizens with, you know, different disabilities. And
I came out and there was a big cloud. It was horrible.
They were scared because they were evacuated, right? They didn't know what was going on.
Are you getting ready to put patients onto this bus, sir?
Suddenly, Pasadena transit buses became rescue vehicles, and the drivers became first responders.
Make sure you guys hold on. And make sure the ladies are good, too, please, for me. I need help.
Over the course of many hours, approximately 500 people were saved by those 16 Pasadena bus drivers.
All of them. Which bus do I take and where do I go? Because this is our community.
Every day I get an opportunity to do the right thing, and this is, you know, we did the right thing.
I'm grateful and blessed to be who I am and be where I'm at in this time, in this space, you know. So I'm grateful that I was able to help.
It's a human thing to do, is to be kind and help where the help is needed, you know. And I mean, I would do it all over again.
It's been a long year, and I think that we kind of agree that this is sort of the face in some ways of the entire Palisades fire.
Oh my gosh, you riding your bike?
I'm out of here.
Are you handing the cane?
Is there anything we can do to help you, sir?
You can take these paintings, I guess.
It's the one story that really resonates, and I heard it over and over.
Listen, I'll take them for you. I work at NBC.
Thank you.
I'll make sure you get them.
It's one of those moments that stands as a snapshot in your mind when you think about the fires. You think about the limbs that kicked up, and you describe the embers and guy on a bike with a painting.
Everybody in Greece agrees to talk about this famous artist, and even though it's upside down, and then we're with Francois when we reunite, and he tells us that the title of the artwork is...
Well, it was from the bicycle series, but it was Man on a Bicycle, you know.
Man on a Bicycle. So you can't write that.
That's exactly what we remember.
I mean, we went through it. We went through it. It was crazy, you know. The paintings that you were able to save for us are the things that we have from our old house, and there's nothing else left. So, you know, thanks for that. I'm very appreciative. I forgot it.
Thanks for being here.
But this is like a hurricane in the middle of a brush fire. You've got people right there. Is that a homeowner that's trying to leave? Is this your house?
Yeah.
Which is your house?
Yeah, this is our house. Backyard's on fire. I'm out of here.
Oh my gosh. So what happened? Is there anything we can do to help you, sir?
You can take these paintings, I guess. I can't ride with these.
Listen, I'll take them for you. I work at NBC.
This is the bike.
This is it.
It's still in one piece.
Yep.
Did it get singed?
I don't know. Honestly, the road was on fire, so that's why I was so happy to be on a bike, because I didn't want my feet on the ground.
You can take these paintings.
Can't believe it. Man on a bike. But it is kind of crazy. It's from the Man on the Bike series. But when did you make the connection?
I honestly didn't make a connection until my friend texted me and said, I can't believe it. You know, it's similar. I'd say that painting, though, it's a painting of a person on a bike, and, you know, it just has this happy-go-lucky energy to it. It's a little bit different from what happened that night, but, you know. Yeah, it's hard to talk about. I dream about it pretty much every night, and I wake up dreaming about it, and when I'm, you know, in my apartment not thinking about anything, I just get flashes of that night all the time. It was just like eerie, and then violent firestorm, and then you guys. It was, I definitely think about it a lot.
Francois, show me where it was where we saw you. This was where the front door was.
Yeah. That whole opposite side of Sunset right there, it was a mix of homes that were on fire and homes that weren't.
What were you thinking at that point? Just to even come back into the Palisades, what was your goal?
My goals, our neighbors were here, so I wanted to basically come back and check it out and make sure that everyone was okay. And, you know, when I came here, nothing was on fire, really. I saw one house in the distance that was on fire. It was just eerie. But in about 5 minutes, it turned from eerie calm, like in the middle of a hurricane, you know, to gale force winds, 50 to 100 mile per hour winds that took with it all of the embers and all the fire. I walked in the house, I walked in the kitchen, and the kitchen was on fire. I went to the backyard, grabbed a hose, started putting out fires. I was able to put out the fire to the kitchen, but the entire backyard was on fire. Came around to the front yard, the entire front yard was on fire. Looked across Sunset, all of the alphabet streets were on fire, and the fire was probably 200 feet high. Just a big red flame that was moving. You know, it was just indescribable. Everything was on fire. There was no way that the house was going to survive.
Were you ever worried about your own safety in those moments?
Absolutely. It was,
What was that like?
Like nothing I've ever experienced.
Do you think I may not make it out of here? What was it that convinced you that you may not?
Well, the house was, you know, we have white curtains, and when the embers started hitting the white curtains and turning bright red and really lighting up the inside of the house with that red color, I've never experienced anything like it. And the whole house was shaking because propane tanks were exploding across the Palisades. It felt like the Northridge quake, but with flames. I was like, okay, it's time to go.
Is that a homeowner that's trying to leave?
When did you grab that artwork?
The second that I left the house. Literally, I grabbed it off the wall, I opened the front door, embers came rushing into the house with the wind, and I had to slam the door to stop the embers coming in and wait for the wind to die down a bit. And then ran out of the house and, you know, saw you in the front yard.
Thank you. I'll make sure you get them. What's your name?
My name's Francois Aru.
You give your number out live on the air. You're on the bike. You go off into the distance, but you're not alone. You start getting text messages from our viewers.
Right, so after I made it through all the flames and then got safely down the hill, I got all of these text messages.
Tell me what some of them say.
Some of them saying, please be safe, sending thoughts and prayers from Colorado, good luck with the situation, and cool paintings. You gave your paintings to Robert Kovacic at NBC News. God bless you. I hope you get them back. You know, and obviously you gave them back to me shortly thereafter. The international and national support of all these people making sure that I was okay, that, you know, it gave me a sense of community that I really didn't know existed.
The story goes viral.
Yeah.
Because people see the painting. They see the artwork. And I'm being contacted by every newspaper in Greece and television stations across the world and networks in London wanting to know how I can find you. This is a very well-known artist.
So Fascianos lived in Paris during the same time that my grandfather's French. We were family friends.
Tell me about the other piece.
The other piece, my grandfather was a maritime art aficionado. He was a big sailor, and it was an oil painting that he loved very much.
Where are the paintings now?
They're in our apartment on the west side.
And when you finally come back here to the Palisades, will those two pieces of art come with you?
Absolutely. They'll be the first two things on the wall, so.
It's one thing that the painting survived, but it's quite another that you survived. I didn't realize how close you came to losing your life.
Thanks. You were in it too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, but it's just unbelievable. It just makes me just so relieved to see you standing.
I definitely was concerned at certain moments, for sure. But at the same time, it's like we were up there to do a job and try to do it well.
If you weren't here, how many homes would have been lost?
Oh, well, I think if James, I'm going to give him credit again, I always do, because he deserves it. Probably all of them.
I didn't need to contemplate too much. People need help, so let's just go do it. Let's rock and roll, man.
Extremely happy. I tell him every day, or at least try to. He's an incredible man, and I feel lucky to call him my teammate and my best friend.
Coming up all this week at 5:30.
I have a special place for Altadena and Pasadena because it raised not only myself, but my kids. Altadena strong.
Pasadena strong.
Malibu, Palisades, gonna live long.
How has it been over the last year? Do they still have your back?
Most definitely.
Coming back together, we're really able to build even a stronger connection.
Hopefully we can all get back in our homes.
Is it hard for you to think about coming back?
Yeah, it hurts because we were left with absolutely nothing.
We did everything the insurance company told us to do. What is making us sick?
We found lead levels that exceed EPA limits by 800 times, beryllium, arsenic, cyanide.
Do you feel that this is a tactic by the insurance company?
100%.
Palisades and Eaton fires. Devastation to determination. All this week on NBC4.